This is Group 4's presentation on why we believe GMOs should be used in animal food. This presentation is for our Animals and Society 67 Section 4 class. My name is Sukhpreet Ranu, and I worked on the history and background information slide. First of all, let's talk about what a GMO is. A GMO simply is a genetically modified organism, but more specifically, a genetically modified organism is an organism whose genetic makeup has been changed, altered in some way through genetic engineering, usually in a lab setting by scientists. Before GMOs, humans would use selective breeding and crossbreeding to bring out desirable traits. This can be seen as far back as 30,000 BCE when wolf domestication started. And then, even with crops, this has been a thing that's been going on for a very long time. But then, eventually in 1973, genetic engineering started to play into bringing out these desirable traits. And that's what separates GMOs from what our ancestors used to do. And genetic engineering was created by Herbert Boyers and Stanley Cohen when they first inserted DNA from one bacteria into another. The first GMO product that was approved by the FDA for purchasing was human insulin, which helped with diabetes. And we can clearly see how important GMOs have been for the future and treating just diseases. And GMOs are much deeper than just food production. Human insulin has helped so many people, and this goes to show why GMOs are important to furthering human society and human technology. The first GMO produce that was approved was the tomato, and you can see that right here in 1992. In 2015, GMOs were first used in animals, and the first animal that it was salmon.
Hello, my name is Kaylla Galarza, and for this presentation, I will introduce the ethical aspects and sociological importance of GMOs, as well as providing an argument for the use of GMOs in our animal feed. So to begin, GMOs ethical aspects comes down to the harm it may cause consumers. It comes down to the safety. Is it safe for human, animals, and plants? It's a common misconception, but there is no evidence to support these concerns. And according to Medline Plus, GMOs have been approved by the FDA to be safe for humans, animals, and plants in the environment. The FDA tests every single genetically modified organism before putting it out on the market. Essentially, GMOs are tested by very qualified scientists before being approved by the government, and these tests that they perform on GMOs work to verify the safety for consumption. And these tests work to investigate any possible consequences. Essentially, the scientists and the FDA only allows GMOs deemed safe to be used in food production and for consumption. These this research by scientists has been done for over 20 years, and there has been no data or evidence during this time to worry consumers. Now, the sociological importance. So, GMOs provide more nutrients. For example, golden rice. It has been genetically modified to make beta carotene, which provides vitamin A. This especially helps Asian countries where rice is a staple dish and where most are prone to blindness. So, we have scientists that are engineering a staple dish such as white rice to create vitamin A. Now, this nutritional benefit is going to help many consumers in Asian countries who lack vitamin A in other food areas. Additionally, GMOs are beneficial to farmers as they increase crop yield. Farmers are producing more crops, helping them economically while providing safe foods for consumers. Due to GMOs being produced faster, there is no food insecurity for consumers. And additionally, the produce is sold at a lower price compared to organic foods. Now I'm going to go over two more importances as according to the environment and to yourself. So it benefits the environment by helping to preserve land with fewer resources, and it helps reduce food waste as foods are less prone to browning and bruising. And it benefits you, the consumer, as GMOs reduce the cost of foods, especially those fruits and vegetables. Food is grown safely and sustainably, and GMOs increase the nutritional value of certain foods, aiding in nutrition deficiency, just as the rice or Asian countries.
Hello, my name is Sukhpreet Ranu. This graph right here is a way for us to show that the global area of GMO crops is increasing over time. As you can see, in between 2011 and 2012, that even the developing countries, more land is being devoted to GMO production, and this just shows that GMOs are inevitable. We need GMOs to be able to supply food for the massive population that we have and the future population growth as well. And this graph is just a great way for us to show you guys that.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Torres, and current events involving GMOs today is how significantly it has played a role not only in the US, but how they are trying to expand with different worldwide agencies. According to the Food and Drug Administration, the US Agency for International Development is currently working on a plan to help improve genetic engineering in other countries. And in the image to the right, you see Bangladesh and Africa. In Bangladesh, farmers have been able to develop an anti-insect pesticide to help improve the growth of eggplants and help the well-being of their community's health. And they have been trying to partner in countries such as Africa to help build stable crops. And right here you see a cassava, which they have been working on a virus-resistant pesticide, an insect-resistant pesticide for cowpea, and a blight-resistant pesticide for potatoes. Um, and they have in fact been using the anti-insect pesticide since 2014 for Bangladesh. And this genetic modification is only one of the many that are in the works as of now.
Hello, my name is Sukhpreet Ranu, and this is the for environment slide. GMO crops lead to decreased use of pesticides, which promotes overall biodiversity. This is often because they're in GMO crops, DNA is altered or changed or inserted to fight off the specific insect that or whatever it is that they don't want next eating on the crop or just being near the crop. So this means that other insects can flourish because pesticides, when you spray them on plants, they kill almost anything. But the difference, this means, since GMO crops already have a DNA to attack the specific insect that they want to attack, pesticides aren't needed, and this promotes overall biodiversity. GMO crops are also drought resistant, which increases productivity on arid land. This means more land can be devoted to crops, since before the normal seed can't grow in infertile soil, GMO crops can. GMO crops also need less water and energy and less overall resources to grow. This is perfect because this means we're not straining our resources as much. And this promotes overall environmental sustainability for the future. And as you can see in this infographic, it's just 20% population increase by 2050. We're going to need a lot of food, and sustainable ways towards that is GMOs. GMOs for economic and quality. GMOs help lower the cost of production for farmers. This is true because less pesticides are needed, less resources are needed, so the smaller farmer can compete with the bigger farmer. GMO produced food is also healthier. As you can see on this image right here, the GMO product is bigger, has more nutritional value, it looks better. It's just the better food in general than the organic strawberry. Research also shows that GMO foods are safe for consumption, unlike what propaganda might tell you on the other side. Genetically modified foods are also cheaper for consumers. They are cheaper, tastier, and they look better.
Okay, now our argument for food production. So, according to Medline Plus, Genetically modified organisms are best for producing new foods as the scientist is selecting a specific gene to implant into the desired organism. As seen here in our image, therefore, new foods are being specifically made and there should be no undesired traits that would result from selective breeding. This speeds up the process of producing foods with new traits. This also prevents the production of potentially harmful and ugly foods that would not be profitable and enjoyable. GMOs can also help the farmers. It helps by preventing crop decrease, it helps control insects, manage weeds, and change the nutritional profile. If we look here, we are taking a specific gene from a soybean and we're moving it into the genetic makeup of a corn crop. Here we are selecting a specific gene for the desired outcome of that corn crop. And in doing so, there will be no undesired traits because we are specifically choosing what we choose to put into that corn crop. So essentially, GMOs help speed up the process of food production and protect farmlands to keep production running.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joseph Pinheiro. I'm in Group 4 in Animal Science 67 with Professor Ganchi. This is my informed opinion slide about the why we are for GMOs or genetically modified organisms. So, firstly, to kind of start off, genetically modified organisms or GMOs have a positive impact on the environment, food production, and the economy. The positive impact it has on the economy is pretty big. Genetically engineered plants require less water, which is less money for farmers. They require less energy, which again, less money for farmers and better for the environment in terms of running machinery and things of that nature, and require less land to produce a higher quality and quantity of a crop than a normal seed. So when you're a farmer and you only have 35 acres of a certain crop, if you have genetically modified that crop, you may have a higher yield, which means a higher quantity for the consumer out of a smaller plot of land and requires less water, which is always a good thing, especially in our state. Studies have yet to show that GMOs have a negative impact on human health. There's been a lot of studies about the differences between consuming genetically modified plants and non-genetically modified plants, and there really has been no proven negative impact on human health in terms of consuming genetically modified plants. GMOs can be planted on arid and degraded land, which promotes sustainability for the future, especially talking about the state of California with our ongoing water crisis and how water is just getting more and more scarce. And especially for farmers around here, they have all these crops and all this land without the water to grow. Genetically modified organisms, crops, they are cheaper. They taste better and they're better looking for the consumer. If you compare a ear of corn that has been genetically modified and an ear of corn that has not, you can easily tell the difference. The ear of corn that has been genetically modified is bigger, it's more yellow, it's more plump, I guess you could say. And in all honesty, it tastes better. Um, since GMOs require less resources to grow, they're cheaper for the average farmer to grow, allowing for more competition, which is basically allowing for more farmers to grow that same crop, which in then turns more food. Genetically engineering also leads to more food in the world, as I just said. It's easier to grow. It's much faster to grow. Requires less natural resources, which California seems to be running scarce on. Without GMOs, we will not be able to feed the continuous growing population of humans from agriculture. So if you look at the imported graph here, this is nothing on very accurate, but it's pretty much a rough estimate on the population growth from the year 1950 to the year 2050. As you can see, the year we're in now, the year 2020, it's roughly about 8 billion. It's a little bit under 8 billion And then 10 years, 15 years from now, in the year 2030 and 2035, we're almost hitting that 9 billion mark. So more food is definitely going to be needed. And GMOs have made that pretty easy.